Avi Meyers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at www.ntnm.org, where you can see all our videos on YouTube for the last 9 or 10 years. We're real big on communitypolicingcaps24.org. It is election season. We love interviewing judges. Jewish Chicago will be coming out for your early voting pleasure. And if you're watching this on TV now, you better yell and scream because I'm going to the printer in a couple days. So if you want to participate, you better call me right now. If you're seeing it on the web, you got a little bit of time, but not a whole lot. And, we expand our coverage every year as much as we can. And as a matter of fact, one of the places where you see a lot of Jewish people moving to, new synagogues, new construction, new kinds of delis and bakeries and stores, is the 12th Judicial Sub-Circuit. And it is a pleasure to have one of the candidates in one of, I guess, 4 different races in the 12th Sub-Circuit.
That's right.
Who also happens to have my favorite campaign manager, Sean Tenner.
Sean Tenner, yes, sir.
And that is Frank Andreou.
Hello.
Frank, how are you?
Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. Good afternoon to you.
First of all, my pleasure, and thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure as well.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay. I'm currently in private practice. I've been an attorney for 20 years. I do live in Northbrook. I am a member of the Northbrook District 27 School Board. And I'm also very active in my parish. I'm on the parish council. My primary focus of my practice now is litigation. And I am a former state's attorney, and so I have some experience there. But overall, I've been in litigation pretty much my entire career. And I felt that now's the time for me to try to make the step up to the bench.
What law school did you go to? What high school, college?
Okay, so I grew up in Glenview, not too far from where I live now. I went to Glenbrook South High School, graduated in 1988, so I'll date myself. I went to Purdue University undergraduate, graduated from there in 1992, and then I went to the John Marshall Law School where I graduated in 1995, and then from there to the State's Attorney's Office.
Very nice. Now, you've done all these different things, and you've obviously been successful at your legal career. Why take the next step and become a judge?
Well, it kind of is an interesting story because I'm dedicating my campaign to my grandfather, who I'm named after.
Oh.
Now, he came to this country, as many people did, in the early 1900s, and the first thing he did when he came here was shine shoes. And he was working the train stations. He was a younger kid, and like many immigrants, his job was to take care of family here and back home. So he got a job on the railroad, which is now the BNSF, the Burlington Northern, but back then, he used to operate the turntables that would actually turn the locomotives around. He worked for the union for 50 years, so we have a watch to prove it. And basically, he focused on 2 things, education and family. So the one thing he told my dad was, go get an education. The first guy in his family to get an education was my father. My father opened his own business, and he said, I'm passing the torch to you. So to come full circle, and this is, kind of my feeling, is that in Greece, they're from Greek, somebody who came from my grandfather's village was destined to a life of living in the village. But in the United States, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So we're 3 generations of Andreus, and here we are now, and I want to go to the next level. To me, it's the highest calling, being a judge. For an attorney to be a judge, it's the highest calling. And I'll tell you an interesting other fact. My grandfather always used to tell my father, he said, you need to move to areas where there's a strong Jewish population. We're Greek, we have a lot in common. And my dad said, well, why? Because the Jewish people believe in family, and they believe in education like us. So they'll always have the best schools. So my dad moved to Glenview from, the Austin neighborhood, which back in the 70s started to change a little bit. Yeah, and it started to change. So my dad moved up north, and when my dad was deciding where to go, that's what my grandfather told him, and my dad told me the same thing. So here we are, and I did get which is important to me, I got the Decalogue's highly recommended rating, which
congratulations, that's terrific. And that's not so easy to get either.
I was just saying that. It's not necessarily because you're a nice guy. I mean, they go and they make sure that your qualifications are there.
Oh, they're one of the most thorough bar organizations. For those who don't know, the Decalogue Society is a society of Jewish lawyers.
Yes.
And they basically hand out highly recommended and highly qualified, the same way Mike Ditka would refer to George Yalis, throwing out nickels.
Right, yes. So it was something that, based on my grandfather's conversations with my dad and my dad with me, And going to your point earlier about the many synagogues and things in Northbrook, it's just a great community. I love living up there. I'm on the school board up there, and sure enough, the parents, they focus on the education, and they keep us all in line. We have a great superintendent. I'm not going to go off on that tangent. But I live in a great community, and I want to serve it again. I was a state's attorney. I enjoyed the work. Obvious financial concerns. You want to have a family. The state's attorneys clearly don't get paid enough for what they do. I had to go into private practice. I enjoy it. I've been self-employed for 14 years. I love what I do, but I'm in my mid-40s now. I hope if I get elected, I could put at least 20 good years on the bench and serve the public well. So I'm very excited about this opportunity.
No, that'd be terrific. Why don't you tell people what cities and townships are inside the 12th?
Sure. So the 12th starts at the lakefront, and we have the suburbs as far south as the northern part of Kenilworth, and then we head west to parts of Arlington Heights, parts of Elk Grove Village. South, we have part of Des Plaines and part of Park Ridge, part of Glenview. It's a very weird puzzle piece. If you go to my website, www.frankandreou.com, there's a map on there. But we have Maine, all of Maine Township, part of New Trier, part of Elk Grove Township. I think we have all of Wheeling Township, and I think that's about it. So there may be others that I'm missing, but it's a very heavily populated area with a wide expanse of wealth from the lakeshore as you go more middle class in the middle, and then as you move out, it turns very heavy Republican. And I'm running as a Democrat, and there are a lot of Republicans up in that area.
There are.
And we're going to have a Republican race, no matter who wins from my race. We're going to have a Republican challenger, so it's important that everybody gets out to vote too.
No question about it. I want to thank you very much, and it was a really good story about your grandfather. I loved it, by the way.
Yeah, it's what motivates us, my father and I. So,
Frank Andreou, please check out his website. He's running for 12th Sub-Circuit. Please give him all due consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Nice to meet you.
You too.